And welcome back to Clutch Time. This is your host, Rico. Today, we are looking at SWBA draft prospect Jamison Johnson. We're going to be looking at his strengths. We're going to be looking at his weaknesses. We're also going to be looking at his player comparison at the next level. And so let's start with who Jamison Johnson is. If you do not know, he is the center for the Kentucky Wildcats. He is a 230-pound junior who averages 18.8 points a game, 7.5 rebounds a game, shooting 57.8% from the field. And he is also hitting 82.1% of his free throws. He is a top 20 consensus SWU player, and he has had a huge impact on Kentucky this season. Currently, they are ranked third in the nation, and they have a 13-2 record. He has really helped this team elevate, and he might actually help this team perhaps win the title this year. Who knows? And so let's start with the things that he does well. And I think the things that really, I think a lot of GMs are going to definitely want at the next level. And so starting with his shot creation, this is something that he is extremely good at, because Jamison Johnson, when I looked at his tape, there's several times where he is able to get his defender off balance and create the necessary space for him to score. And he's also does a great job as far as putting the defender on his back and finishing as well. That right there is the ability to take the handle and then create the shot that you want. And so Jamison Johnson is a terrific shot creator. Next up, post offense. And so his post offense, outstanding. I think that there were several times where I saw it on tape, and we're going to look at this. He's able to finish over either shoulder. So he's comfortable going to his right. He's comfortable going to his left. And he understands how the defender is playing him. And so he has an excellent feel for the post. And that goes really hand in hand with his footwork. The footwork might have been some of the best that I've seen maybe out of all the draft prospects thus far. And I see why he does get the comparison of a Tim Duncan, because that is one thing that Tim Duncan did very well. He had a terrific feel for the post, and he had great footwork and the ability to really get to his spots that way in the post. And so next up, I think another thing that really jumps out with Jamison Johnson is his intangibles. He has a certain understanding of the game and where to be at on the defensive end and the offensive end. I think that you're going to see that there's times where defensively he knows how to be in spaces and not get the foul call, not necessarily get the steal or the block, but he understands his defensive positioning. So that comes down to just intangibles, knowing where to be at. And that also translates into rebounding, like understanding where to be at for those rebounds. So I think that he has a good feel for that. And then as far as the offensive end, he understands what to do. I mean, there's times where he's running a little bit of a point forward. He knows how to find his teammates in space. And he also knows when is the best time to maybe get to another space on the floor if it is crowded. So he knows how to go to a spin move or a counter move. Like, he has that type of intangible and that type of feel to the game that I think really all GMs really want that. They want you to be able to go ahead, have that type of feel for the game, because I feel like if you have those intangibles, they don't necessarily have to run plays for you. You understand how to play off of others, and you understand when is the time to be aggressive and when is the time to kind of back off. And so those are some of the things that really stand out with Jamison Johnson. So when we look at his weaknesses, I think it starts with you wonder, can he be a bit more aggressive? And so that is something that was talked about in the Bleacher Report, in his draft prospect scouting report. Can he be aggressive? And so when I look at him, and I've seen some of his games, it just seems like he should have a lot more block shots than he has. At that height, I would expect for him to lead the team in shot blocks. He doesn't. He's at 0.9 currently during the time of this recording. And at 7'1", I think that aggressive nature has to translate a bit more to the defensive end. offensively, I think at times you do see him become aggressive. I mean, he's not like the type of, angry type of player. I think that he can get to that. We'll see. But I do understand where he needs to be a bit more aggressive, certainly on the defensive end. Next up, the strength. And so, much like most of the players that are coming out, I think that the strength issue is going to be an issue initially when they get into the league because those players are a little bit bigger. They're certainly a bit more stronger, but you have the confidence, especially with Jamison Johnson, who is a player that has really been deemed for being consistent. I think he's going to put in the consistent work in the weight room program and do the necessary things to get stronger. And maybe with the added strength, you do see a bit more aggressive nature on the offensive end. And so I think that those are probably two of the weak points for him. Some of the other notable things that he does well, he's a terrific jump shooter. And so right now he's not shooting the three ball, but he is very comfortable outside the free throw line. So that suggests to me that he's going to be a very good pick and pop player. And that's going to go into the comparison that we're going to look at here in the moment. Another thing that he does well is just the ball handling. And so that goes into the shot creation. But I've seen him really start from the 3-point line and go in on his defender. I've also seen him take it from end to end and make a play as well. And he's very comfortable at that. And so that is a good thing to see. We've already talked about the rebounding. That is certainly one of the things that he does do well. Defense, it's okay. It is very good, but it could be a lot better at that height. We talked about that with the shot blocking and stuff like that. And so now I wanted to go ahead and jump into just some of the things that I saw here via the film that I think really, if you're a GM and you have the chance to pick up Jamison Johnson and you need a player that maybe turns into a star, maybe a franchise player for you, and maybe, he could even be a really good role player. I could put that out there, but I think he's going to be a great player overall. So let's start with just this play here. You see that he's in the position defensively, and that's part of the intangibles. He turns around, he gets the rebound, he takes it off the glass, and look at this coast-to-coast crossover, and then the lob up to his teammate, right? Great feel for the game that shows you his rebounding. And so here, this is another great play. And so you see that Coach Pope has 4 out, and look at all the spacing that he has. And this, watch him put the defender on his back, and also, too, just look at the feel and the handle here. So here he is. He hits him with a jab step, right? Pump. Puts him on his back, a nice high point finish. So a great score there. So once again, you see his ability to create shots and handle the basketball. And here he is once more, top of the key. He's running like a little bit of a point guard and a row here, a point forward row. And you see that initially the spacing is not the same. You see that you've got 2 players down here on the box area. You also have 2 players on the wing. But look at what happens and look at what he does as far as the decision-making and just his understanding of the game. And so he's going down on his defender. And right here, you can see that one of his teammates is getting out of the way, right? But look at this other teammate. It looks like he's almost getting ready to run into him. He sees that. He has a great sense of this. He spins back out of that, and then watch him finish that play, right? That's a terrific feel. Right. You love to see that. And so I feel like these are things that translate to the next level. And this next play, this is the aggressive nature that I think teams want to see right there, just a dunk over your head. Like that is a terrific finish. And I think that he can definitely play with that type of intensity. It just comes down to confidence. And so really, when I look at the comparisons now and, who I think that ultimately he could turn out to be, I know that, Bleacher Report has him maybe, the high point being a Tim Duncan, maybe the low point being an Okafor. I have him being, I got him as a LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he's more like a more athletic LaMarcus Aldridge because, for one, LaMarcus Aldridge, he did not necessarily have the ability to handle the basketball like Jamison Johnson did. And he's not as good as a passer as Jamison Johnson. That's number 2. I think the intangibles and things like that are something that really LaMarcus Aldridge had to work into. And I think that I already see that with Jamison Johnson, and I could really see him taking off at the next level because, much like a lot of these players, when they reach the SWBA level, you see that they're totally different players than what they were in college because all of a sudden, the game just is unlocked for them and things like that. And so I think I see that with this guy. I think he could be that person. I think with his wingspan, I think he's going to affect a lot of shots. And I think he could be very good into that LaMarcus Aldridge role, working off a very good point guard. And he has the ability to create without a point guard too. So that's why you love the fact that he's shown that he doesn't need somebody to set the table for him. So I love that about him. And I think that if he gets super aggressive, and I'm talking about like aggressive, like people would want to see, I think maybe he turns into my old school player, maybe like a Patrick Ewing type of player, but more athletic. Because remember, Patrick Ewing had the soft touch. He certainly can shoot the jump shot. He's shown that he can dunk on your head. But to get to like that Patrick Ewing status, you would essentially need to get a lot more nastier, I think, especially on the defensive end, and start to go through guys even more on the offensive end. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you think that, yes, Jamison Johnson, I feel like he can be a star? Do you feel like, he's maybe a franchise player, or do you feel like, I think he might be a role player at the next level? So I'd love to hear what you're thinking. And as we always say, see the game, be the game. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.